Today we are going to be answering the age-old question, which show's better, Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul? And you know, I have thought about this for a long time because I love both of these shows. These are, if you've seen the list of shows that I think are the best shows of all time, these two are up there, and I really do have nothing bad to say about either one of them. That's how good they are. Both of them made by Vince Gilligan. Peter Gould was in Better Call Saul, and I think he was also in some of Breaking Bad as well. But both of them together wrote masterpieces. Vince Gilligan, anything he does, I'm going to follow. But there's a huge debate. There's always been controversy around this idea of which is better. Is it Better Call Saul or is it Breaking Bad? And, you know, all things considered, I do have my own biases. I'm going to break them down in this video and explain why I personally think this one is better than the other one. So without further ado, let's jump in. Hi, my name is Jerry. I make TV show content, film content, reactions, character analyses, and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to check out the channel, make sure you go ahead and check it out. And if you want to share this video with more people, make sure you like it so we could go ahead and do that. But with that out of the way, let's jump right in. First things first, gonna jump this out there straight in the open. I don't even know what that means, jump, whatever. Better Call Saul's the better of the two shows. Just point blank, period. If you don't like the sound of that, let me know down there. But that does not at all mean that I think Breaking Bad is a worse show, because it's absolutely not a worse show. Breaking Bad has one of the best TV show premises that I've ever heard of. It is awesome how they turned really Mr. Kibbs into Scarface. But that being said, Better Call Saul does not have that much of a pull. It's a lawyer show, and it's about a lawyer going from a normal lawyer to a scumbag lawyer. On paper, that doesn't really sound good at all, and that's actually exactly what I was thinking when I first started watching Better Call Saul. It actually took me years to start watching Better Call Saul. I didn't pick up the show until it was in its 5th season, so I caught up on Netflix watching seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I had a 2-year wait pretty much until season 6 came out. But by that point, I was absolutely hooked on that show. And it's absolutely crazy to think that I had no interest in it, because to be honest with you, in Breaking Bad, Saul Goodman was not at all a favorite character of mine, like not in the slightest bit. I didn't really enjoy him. He was funny. Every time he was on screen, he really stole the show. And all of that can be true, but there was nothing interesting enough for me to think he would make for a good premise of a spinoff, like at all. So when they announced Better Call Saul, I was like, I'm not watching that. Even though I loved Breaking Bad, I was like, I just don't have any use. I saw 1 or 2 of the episodes in the beginning, and the whole idea of the electricity thing just honestly didn't stick with me. So I didn't watch it, and I waited years. My dad kept telling me in that span of time, Jerry, you got to come back to Better Call Saul. You got to see it. And I was like, yeah, eventually I'll catch up to it. Well, I'm glad I did, because it became my favorite show ever. And that is saying something. Better Call Saul, where it nails everything. And I'm going to explain why I think Breaking Bad isn't like bad at all or worse or anything like that in a minute. But what I do want to say is Better Call Saul nails everything. There isn't one thing that the show doesn't nail. It nails the writing, like to the T, nails cinematography, nails production, the acting, the color grading, everything down to the hairs on Kim Wexler's arm. It nails like everything. There isn't one bad element to the show. And the only, I guess, quote unquote, like negative you could say about Better Call Saul is there are a lot of slow moments in the show, but that's okay, because those slow moments build to something magnificent. Every detail in the show matters. And you could argue the same with Breaking Bad. We'll get into it in a minute, but Better Call Saul specifically is just, it's just flavorful. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's perfect. It really is perfect. It is a masterpiece of television for an idea and a premise that isn't that strong. And that's where the two shows really differ. Better Call Saul does not have that strong of a pull or premise. I'll give it that. But that's okay, because the storytelling, the writing, everything, it is top notch. But where Breaking Bad really exceeds, and where in a lot of ways it is better than Better Call Saul, is it does have an extremely strong presence and pull. And anyone who says that Breaking Bad is the better of the two shows, I don't blame them. I don't judge them. It's just really personal preference. I think Better Call Saul is the best show of all time, but Breaking Bad is just as good. And it's because, like I mentioned, the premise is very strong with Breaking Bad. You have the idea that a man with cancer wants to provide for his family and in the process becomes the worst version of himself. That alone just sounds interesting. It doesn't matter let's just pretend you had like some of the worst actors in the world. Like, let's pretend Amy Schumer played Skylar. Honestly, the idea would still sound like a good idea for a show. Like, it doesn't matter who the actors are, except the actors enhanced it so unbelievably much. And that's another strong pull about Breaking Bad. But to me, Breaking Bad has that strong pull, and it also has incredibly strong actors in Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, Anna Gunn. You know, the list goes on and on and on. The actors in this show are phenomenal. The story premise is phenomenal. But where I think it falls short compared to Better Call Saul is in the writing department in certain elements, and especially seasons 1 and 2. It falls apart to me in like the cinematography. It's not as creative, which is fine. I mean, not every show has to be super creative because, again, if the pull's there and if the actors are there, that's already strong enough. Like, you don't need every element to be firing for it to be a great show. But where Better Call Saul to me becomes the best show is because it nails every one of them. There isn't one bad part of Better Call Saul. Like, if I'm looking at the two, here's a prime example. If I am looking at Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad together and I'm staring at them, the way I would think about the two of these shows is Better Call Saul is like a Gordon Ramsay, let's just say it's his beef Wellington, and Breaking Bad is Gordon Ramsay's chicken parm. Both immaculate dishes. He's a Michelin star trained chef. So these are fantastic products he makes, and he makes them just so well with care, love, attention, and they taste delicious. But it really only depends what you're in the mood for that day. Some days I'm a beef Wellington guy. Some days I'm a chicken parm guy. You know what I mean? My preference is beef Wellington. That's all I'm saying. That does not mean at all that Breaking Bad is worse, because it's just not. But the two they're symbiotic, and they honestly, which is absolutely crazy for a prequel to achieve, they work together so well. Better Call Saul does not detract from Breaking Bad at all. If anything, it lifts it up, it enhances it, and it fills in all of the gaps that we were missing in Breaking Bad. That is hard enough for a sequel to do, because that doesn't typically happen, where the or I should say prequel, because it's a prequel sequel, but that is really hard for a prequel to do, let alone a prequel to stand on its own and even be compared in the same way as Breaking Bad. If you think about it, whenever there's a prequel to a show, whether it be House of the Dragon, whether it be, God, I don't know, maybe Yellowstone's 1850, whatever the hell it's called, I don't even know what it's called. Every time there's going to be a prequel to a very smashing hit show, it's automatically, no matter what, going to be compared to the original. Look at Fear the Walking Dead to The Walking Dead, except that's a horrible example because Fear is terrible. But it is really hard when you're in the spotlight to live up to the canon series' expectation. But I would argue that Better Call Saul is like more canon than Breaking Bad, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy, man. And I'm not really considering El Camino in the same conversation, because I think what really matters the most here is the two of those shows. And man, there's not enough words for me to say. Again, that being said, Breaking Bad is so good. Like the last season of Breaking Bad, season 6, 5.5, 6, whatever you call it, season 6 was just masterful. And so was season 6 of Better Call Saul. Season 6 of Better Call Saul is my favorite season of television ever. But season 6 of Breaking Bad is so good. The ending was nailed. And the way you finally see Walt become the monster, like the true monster, the way we see Todd in that season, even though they're new villains, It's just handled so well. The whole rest of the story is all well, and every little detail boils up to this beautiful moment when Hank finds out and his tragic end. That is just incredible. The writing was so good. Everything came together perfectly. You never get that with shows ever. And for that reason, Breaking Bad is just so strong. But Better Call Saul, if you look at what they did with that, it takes that boring story and it lifts it to be just immaculate, just straight up immaculate. There's no other words to describe it. It really serves to just enhance everything in the Breaking Bad universe. And there are a lot of people that will say, oh, you wouldn't have Better Call Saul without Breaking Bad. That's absolutely right. That's completely right. Breaking Bad had to be the beginning. It really did. It had to be the beginning. Then Better Call Saul happened. And all of my negatives that I've said so far about Breaking Bad, like the writing not being good, the cinematography not being good, that is totally expected. That is literally watching a creator grow over the years. You're watching Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, Tom Schnoz, and all the people who worked in the writing room of Breaking Bad. You're watching them develop. For years, we've been watching them. Years and years and years and years. And yeah, it makes total sense why Breaking Bad in the beginning seasons is not as strong, and it feels more like a Fox show. Like, if that makes any sense, like it feels very like just like PG, normal, like cheesy American television show in the beginning. And then it really builds up. It's almost like, the best way I could describe Breaking Bad is it's like the Beatles when they were still run by the record label. What I mean by that is older musicians and still current musicians, they're pretty much run by the record label. They tell you what songs to make, really. And that's what the first season and a half of Breaking Bad felt like, because it wasn't doing well. You could tell, I feel like AMC had a real strong pull and wrote a lot of revisions of that show. Like, they had a lot of notes. But after season 2, it proved itself, and then Vince Gilligan took over. And that's when it got really good. And that's not the only thing. I think because of that, they grew, they learned to grow and all of those things. And it perfectly boiled into Better Call Saul just being a masterpiece. But the point I'm making is you could see the restraints they had in the beginning, or at least it seemed like they had in the beginning, and then you could see what it developed into. That doesn't mean necessarily one is better than the other. It's just down to preference. I think Better Call Saul is the better of the two of them. That is just me, and I would love to hear what you guys have to think about that in the comments down below. Cannot wait to start an open conversation about this, because this is a very divisive one, and I'm up for the whole thing. So let me know what you guys think. Let's start a healthy conversation down there in the comments. If you like this video, please help me share it with more people by clicking the like button on it, and check out the channel if you want to see all things Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, really any shows. The Last of Us I've been watching, and it's so good. But I love TV. I really do. I'm going to be talking all things TV because it's what I like. So with that out of the way, hope to see you again soon. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.